potentially the last part, unless y'all want one more part about this. But welcome to How I Would Fix Velma, the TV show. And the reason why I said this might be the last part is because, well, we're the last two people, and there's like, I'm not making two different videos for Shaggy and Scooby. I'm not. But yeah, so let's begin where all good story starts. With me taking a second because I did not give myself long enough because my throat is dry. Give myself a little bit more time. Hopefully you good. Alright. So, I'm gonna make it through different parts. But yeah, so let's begin. So, what is Shaggy character in the show? He is I'm gonna put it the best way I can put it. He is what you would make a joke about, like a black guy who's white. He is a way less funny version of I forgot his name, but the lawyer from the Boondocks. He's a way less funny version than that. Go watch the Boondocks if you want like a funny satire show, where it's like actually progressive and whatnot. Just, just saying, it's actually a good show. I need to watch it all myself. But yeah, he's just a way less funny version of that. Mom, biracial parents. So his mom's white, no black. His dad's white. Is a therapist. Um, and that's pretty much it. Like he's been in most of the shows simping and trying to get with Velma, despite pretty obviously being rejected every time. Um, and he's also like really, really nerdy. So, and like that's like the main thing. He was such another character. He does like get a girlfriend eventually. So yeah. I'll probably gonna lop her into. Um, but honestly, the rest of the characters all have like kind of breakdowns for it. But like I feel like Shaggy's just a Shaggy and Scooby are the two. Also, Scooby in the show. Shaggy and Scooby, everyone knows the general gist. They're both really close friends that are pretty much like potheads, but not like officially. They both are cowardly, kinda. Like they run away from danger, but they do showcase bravery because like they're still with their friends. Like you see them run away, but like often I don't think there's a really occasion where they're like run away by themselves. They're like, oh, Scoob, there's no one else around us. Let's skedaddle. Or they're like they see a kid like Scoob. How about we grab that lunch and that kid and get out of here? I don't know why I get. I don't know why I did a goofy impression right there. Like zoinks, we need to get that kid out here and run. And he's like, yeah, they show cowardly tendencies to some people, but like they're brave. And then they also have like both of their characters have a thing where they're like just really strong. Like you have that entire alternate ending joke, which is like a joke, but like no, it's also like just serious. Like Shaggy on multiple occasions, if you think about it, show like ridiculous strength feats. Just like in that one movie alone, he was able to jump off a falling rock. And like as a someone who watched anime a bunch, you're like, and you watch my channel, you're like, that's not that impressive. And like anime is not, but like in real life, have you tried like doing that? It doesn't work. That's like really impressive. And he doesn't like just like jump off and you jump off. No, he like gain height too. So that's really impressive. But then like you also have school where he's like part alien, and then he also is like really fast and really durable. And like there are times where he hit hard that much. Like I think there's like a scene where he literally punched a robot. And then you also like have movies like the samurai one where they gain supernatural powers and like they fight together as a samurai. So there's stuff like that where they just like are simultaneously ridiculous, strong but over silly, and they're cowardly, right? So how do I take this character and add them to the lore, right? The first thing I want to do is talk about the father. The mother is not that important because it doesn't really. is important in the show either. The father will be the one of the core connecting thing because he's a therapist. So I think that he will have an impact on him because he will be like. I feel like Shaggy will be more aware of people's feelings and emotions more than maybe the rest of the cast, and be more open about his own while also helping them more. And this could also lead into like having a streamline because he's a therapist. So Velma therapist could be his dad, which lead to him having friends, and that's what I said. But it could also work with like Daphne that how they introduce each, like all get introduced to each other, right? That's a very good and important point. But something I would like to point out is I like to make his dad have because I want to make a story point, right? We get into more of it later, but let's just say Scooby Doo and Shaggy has some telekinesis going on, right? And to investigate it, he hired what's his name, mom, Velma mom, and that will be one of the connections in between there, and that will lead to a major story point later down the line, right? But yeah, like they are connected heavily. I like to stress that. As typically as Velma and Daphne, I think those two should have a heavy connection too. But I feel like it's also important to have a connection between those two because outside of Velma and Daphne, Velma and Shaggy are shown to have like this. Oh, outside you go like Scooby Doo and Shaggy, Velma and Daphne, and then I would say Daphne and yeah Daphne, Velma and Shaggy are like closeness. Like, yeah, Daphne and Fred date, occasionally date, but like they don't feel as close as Velma and Shaggy. So I feel like it's a point to stress that point. Once again, he is saying the Shaggy's saying black in the version. There's no reason not to. And like, just say his name. Like, I understand there could be some racist connotations behind that, but like, I'm gonna be honest. If you're gonna change the character, don't like change him. Like, let him still keep his name. Norville. No one's calling him Norville. No one. Like that was so dumb. You just call him Shaggy, right? Um, but yeah, that's gonna be a really strong connection, and it also allowed to connect with like other people too, with like connect to the family, connect to them, and then because he's the son of a therapist, will help with a like, oh wow, she's good at reading people. It will also allow him to be like, I'm good at reading people, but more like emotionally. Like you can read people and be like, they're not, they're lying, right? But I can read and be like, oh, you're suffering from depression, right? And it'd be a good point to have there. But yeah, now let's get into his character because I feel like that's a point to get into it. Well, I'm gonna get into both Shaggy. I'm gonna start with Shaggy character, but then I'm gonna go into Scooby character, right? So Shaggy character would be more confident. I would like to have him be actually kind of confident. I would like him to be popular. Well, he's not like the most like swole guy. I would like him to be like a track star. Like he's good at running. He enjoys running. He enjoys sports. I would like to keep his nerdy side intact, where he's like just love like just gaming and media, right? Um, if you want a great example on like what is up like how I think would be a great way to depict him, look at Jarvis Johnson. Just look at how he is. Jarvis Johnson and Jordan Adika. Um, both of them are great people. I would love to meet them one day, but like just look at them or Corey Kitchen. Just look at like all three of them and just take them and just combine them. Right? I like him to be like a chill character because the Ouija like him lay back, and I think he should be smart because it's not me that he's like saying that's dumb, but like he's really not that dumb. Like I don't think the game would have kept like yeah they're friends and all. I don't think the game would have kept him around if he is completely useless, right? And I like the media where like take for instance Mystery Incorporated. He's not the smartest one. He's nowhere near the smartest one, but he's still like no, he's good. He's supporting, right? Because he have like some brain cells, and there have been times in the show where he's like just throwing out there like, so it's like, what is upside down? And then they're like, oh yeah, why didn't we think of that? Right? So I think that'd be a good bad to have where he's kind of a slacker, but he's a smart one. So like he have no problem helping people. And I think that how we get like he meet Fred because he's a sport, right? Fred I already said that he would be like a football star, right? Shaggy is doing track, so they would meet like that, right? And then he could also be a tutorer, right? So that's one of the reasons why he could meet Velma. She's already one to meet not Velma that big. She's already one of the proper kids, so it's likely that she would know like them already. But like that's also another reason. Like, he could be a a tutor, and he's like, yeah, no, let's say Daphne and blow off some steam. And he's just like, yeah, no, as long as I'm tutoring you. But like he's also like a good tutor, not like a bad one, right? And I don't like to keep the point where he's a good chef. Uh, I would like to make it like one of the core things, like how nerdy he is. I think we could keep that. And I also like to keep like the fact that he's like a good chef and be like he just he slacks off a bunch, but he's like really talented. And one of the things that he's good at is cooking. Whereas like, yeah, no, if there's one like class that he never fails culinary, like he has all the culinary classes mastered, like to the point where it's like, no, he goes to like college for that, but like he doesn't plan to go to college for cooking. Um, but yeah, like I think that should be his character for the first half. Now, Scoop, I think that the way I view it is that Scoop will go missing, right? But before that point, he's kind of a confident dog because he's still a dog. He's still, like, I think both of them should still have those like nervous tendencies that you can see seeping in every now and then, but you don't see it much. Especially Scoop because he's gonna be a little pup. But you like there's like he's playful. He's like a little puppy, right? Um, and like he's a little nervous, but he's still confident, right? Um, and that would be like their core character trait. Like for the first half when you first meet them and whatnot, they're confident. They might seem a little shaken, but like they're still confident. And then let's set up the story aspect. So I mentioned earlier they have a little. I'm like, oh, let's just say Shaggy and Scooby have a little telekinesis. That's not what I meant. So I was like, because one of the weird thing about Scooby Doo lore is that Scooby Doo is descendant of aliens, right? And I was like, that would probably be too weird to include in Scooby Doo. I don't know if I want to include that, but I would like to include the supernatural aspect. So, like I said, you know what? Let's have a kind of compromise. I would like to make it so like Scooby Doo and Shaggy can talk telekinesically, like via telekinesis, not telekinesis, telepath. Whereas like Shaggy can just see spirits and whatnot. It's not like it's something that he can just see already, but then he learned how to communicate with Scooby, and Scooby just like he because he is descendant of this ancient supernatural being or aliens, whatever one you want to go with, for this lore, he like has the ability to understand English and say it. He just doesn't have the ability to say it, but he can like speak it. So I would like to make it so like it's a point where they can like vividly understand each other and like weird. So his dad's like, "Hey, you study." Velma mom would be someone who in particular studied the possibility of telekinesis and enhancing the human mind to enact stuff. So like take for instance, kind of telepathy if you kinda if you squint both eyes and like really try to guide is that your brain can kind of link up with other people's brains. Not completely it. It's weird to describe, but like think about it this way: your brain can essentially kind of sense the electrical field of someone else's brain, and then it will register that itself. So like think about it like this: have you ever looked at someone and be like, they're having a bad day, and like they could be smiling, they could be like looking happy, but like you can just look at them like they're having a bad day. It could be your brain just legitimately like just it's not very effective. I'm gonna start with that, but it could be just your brain being like, I can tell the neurological patterns are similar to anger. So it's kind of like that. But that's sort of the main study. And I think Shaggy and Scooby were like, oh, this would be really good. And one of the people that you could be working for is Freddie, Fred, dad, grandfather. Because like, you remember, Fred grandfather is about like all that science stuff. But he maybe stopped funding or this building caught on fire, right? Whatever happened, the fire happened and then it gone, right? But Scoob also went missing. Not kinda. Scoob is presumed to be dead, right? Um, he went missing, right? And he got to be dead. And then you have years later, right? And then you have all the media, right? This could be like episode 1 or 2, right? And Shaggy's like, you know what? Let's me introduce all my friends together. He's like, Velma need to talk to more people and also need to learn how to relax some more. Maybe get something to keep her mind off her mother for a little bit because her panic attacks have been picking up. Fred, he need to get out of his room and stop trying to engineer traps and maybe have more social interaction with people. Or very a different one, like the one that first off is just Fred legitimately just didn't want to be at his house. He's like, yeah, I just want to go with my friend now. Cause you can feel that. And I think Fred and him should be close, right? So Fred's like, yeah, I just want to go to Shaggy's house, right? And then Daphne, he's like, well, Daphne also want to just relax for a bit. So this would be a perfect opportunity to have them all meet each other, have them all connect. And I think it'd be funny if like for no reason, he does not know the history between Velma and Daphne. I don't think I mentioned it during Daphne part. Something I mentioned here. There's a me or either one of their part, but Velma and Daphne have history in the show where they like uh drifted apart at one point. I forgot why. I think that same thing could happen though, but I think in the circumstances it would be like Velma kept focusing more on trying to find her mother and just kept digging more into doing research and whatnot rather than hanging out with her and like allowing her to support her. And while Fred, meanwhile, like Shaggy was able to content with it because of the fact that his father is a psychologist, so he sees her more often and is also helping her through it. Somewhat, he's still a kid, right? So it's not the best, but he still like tries, right? Um, that Melvin, yeah, Daphne just did like couldn't do that, right? I think that'd be a great way to divide them, and then he could be aware of it or not aware of it. I think he'd be smart enough to think about it that he could be aware of it and like, oh, this will also be a good occasion because they used to be friends. It could help her kind of have someone else to talk to about this too, just in case I'm not there or my dad's not there. And it's like they all have these secrets, right? And then so Velma, also, I would like to make it a point that Velma is the only one that knows. Like, Velma mom and Velma are the only two that know about, like, Shaggy used to be able to talk to his dog, right? Or seeing spirits, right? So they were walking home, and, like, Daphne could, like, wanted to, no, not Daphne, Velma could be, like, walking home because her dad's either off that bar drinking, because I think in the original show, her dad's alcoholic, or it could be, like, he's been on a date with the thing and just forgot about her, right? So Shaggy, like, very nervously, of course, like, uh, I could walk you home. And maybe could not be a flirty thing. I could see it not being a flirty thing, right? But he like walks her home very nervously, very honestly. And she's like, "You can stay if you want." And he's like, "No, I think I'm good." And he started walking home. And then, bop, bing, bop, boom, kidnapped. Kidnapped by who? We don't know. It's the mother. But he kidnapped by the mother, and then we cut through the entire like I would say the first half of season 1, where they're trying to figure out where is he, what's going on, like what happened, and you have a bunch of character moments. It's like yeah, you might first of all, there were like there's a point where in the show they all hate Velma because something go around the school, right? Like oh you're probably the killer, right? But like in this case, it wouldn't be that. It'd be like a bunch of Velma. I also forgot to mention it's hers because I dropped the ball with Velma for some reason. But with Velma, I thought she could be more popular than she thinks she is. Because a lot of media, she's like, thinks she's not that popular, but she's pretty liked. But I can see that being the case for her in this show. And then just like people actually start hating on her because like Shaggy's liked, right? So it's like, you're the last one people saw him. It's probably because of you. And this wouldn't be the first time someone close to you gone missing, stuff like that, right? So they're all having a bunch of stress, and then they find him, right? So let me paint a scene for when they find him, right? They're in this cave, they're looking around, and Bella in particular have the camera because if you keep with her being bad, she's not the most athletic. But even if she is, in fact, she still isn't the most athletic one. Like, you have a football player, it's on practice martial arts. Yeah, come on now. Now you got my whole ten anyway. put those two people besides them, most people would be better, like more fit. But so she had the camera. She was like recording the evidence and whatnot. And they see someone in a trench coat, and they don't see him at first because they're far their way. They're recording evidence. They're looking through it, and they're thinking about like, okay, can we get this stuff to the back? No, they can't. They just physically can't because of the fact that it's like too much evidence. And like they're looking at the notes and Velma taking pictures of them as much as they can. That way they can provide as much details and evidence. And then they hear screams of people being tortured, right? Because it's Scooby Doo and Shaggy being experimented on. Because the idea is, well, okay, so they can consciously link each other, like thoughts with each other. Let me see if they can switch it with each other. So she's been running an experiment with them to see if they can switch consonants and like teach them how to switch consonants. And then after they learn how to switch consonants, torturing them to be like, okay, now let's see if you how the pain receptor works. Is it because of Shaggy brain? Is he able to represent it, or is it Scooby itself? And is it connected to like the consciousness of the person? So she's torturing them, and they can hear it. Also, like I said, these experiments are what gives Scooby the ability to talk because of the fact that like they've been like he legitimately switched minds and whatnot and been experimented on. He essentially gave up cord to like evolve and whatnot, so he can speak somewhat. And he's like as in like because they're telepathically connected. Where he's like, Shaggy, don't switch with me. I can deal with it. But Shaggy to the point like, nah, like it's too painful. So then he switches with him, right? Only for him to be tortured, right? Um, and I hear Shaggy scream, so they come chasing down. And I think, Fred will be like the most mad. First of all, one of them practiced martial arts, so like mental, they're probably strong mentally. And then the other one is like very enticing, trying to figure out what's going on here. Like she does really care about Freddy, Shaggy, but it's also like, well, what is Slab? Why is it inside of a cave? Like I gotta make sure I get all the evidence, right? So I think he's the one that like rushes in, try and charge them and fight them. Um, Now this part I just realized is definitely inspired by Esther. That was like the mother, Velma mother, because she's the one who kidnapped them. Obviously, you couldn't tell, or I didn't say that. Could have like martial art experience because like the fact that she was studying like the body and like how it works with like cottage and trying to transfer it and like the supernatural aspect. Like how is it like that's something you can say they see it goes, but people can't. It's like a physical thing and whatnot. She would also experiment on herself where she theorized the healthier you are, the stronger bonds you have to the physical, like the spiritual realm. And then she just kept it up because it does seem to be part of the case. Well, it's kind of both ways. So you don't have the ability to access it in the first place, and it doesn't really strengthen it because of the fact that you're leaning closer to life. But if you do have the ability, then it's stronger because of the fact that your body can handle it more. If you don't have full access to it already, or access to it already, then you actually want to be closer to death because then you are closer to seeing the afterlife. It's dumb. Well, not dumb, but like that's essentially like what her study shows, right? And because of that, she's like physically fit. She's like, well, I gotta stay fit and whatnot. So she's like throwing stuff and just like I can see her being seen where like he tried like tackling her or like throwing a really wide punch, but because he never fought before, he get caught and like he get tossed on like his leg, and she like or on his back, and she like stomped on his leg, and then she went out and set fire to it, right? And I can see during this time, before they hear like Freddy scream because he got tossed and stomped on his leg, they're like helping Scoob and the Shaggy out, and they're like, "Are you okay?" Like Scoob is gonna be defensive because like he don't know these people, right? And then Shaggy might know it's okay. That's Velma right there. Well, actually, you gonna be defensive. Not only does he not know these people, but in particular, you know, Velma is a daughter of the person kidnapping him, so her scent will be familiar. Probably smell someone similar, so he'd be like, "Oh, I know that scent. You're just like her. You're pretty much just like the person who just been torturing us." So he would be defensive until Jackie like calmed down And then they're both just been tortured, so of course, like they're not going to be in the best state. Um, so I can see like Velma like picking up the dog. Like I can see them all carrying one person. When I visualize this, I forgot Scooby Doo would be also in a bad state. So like I can see Velma picking up Shaggy, and I can see Daphne picking up Fred, but then I forgot about the dog. So, but I can see them like all like helping each other out. I can see Fred lacking behind because he hurt his leg, but I can see them like supporting them up with like mainly supporting Fred, me, Shaggy, and the dog up. Um, but like they try and escape because the building is on fire, and they have a bunch of recordings and whatnot. And this is where we get into the second half of the characters. So, I mean, the second half of Scooby Doo and Shaggy, right? So this was all set up for the second half. I'm not gonna go into more. Actually, I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail. But they have like all these studies and whatnot, and then this is like they're gonna use this evidence that they have to try to figure out who it is now that they found him and whatnot. And what their goal was based on like what they see from the notes, right? They can even like snap a book or two, right? But the point is, after this, they come back, right? And after being like kind of reintroduced into society after being gone for multiple months, I could see this is where they get their cowardly nature from. So I would like them to get their cowardly nature from the fact that they've been like literally been tortured and whatnot. So they're like instinctively like they're just scared more. But also, I think it'd be cool or interesting if like because of the fact that there are really like these two are like the two revolutionary points of like okay, I can just like because Shaggy and Scooby Doo like showed this connection, and Scooby Doo can literally talk, and everything else is like these two are the most important specimen she had. So I can imagine her because she had like knowledge of the brain and whatnot, instinctively putting on like restrictions on them where like their instinct is just a bucket, right? But like they can somewhat resist it. It's kind of like the killer thing where like oh, he can resist it, but like he's not going to most of the time. And I think it'd be cool aspect where it's like they are most of the time kind of more cowardly, like just naturally they're more scared and whatnot, more jumping than where they were before. But then like when you have them the mystery thing, they're really scared and they do run a bunch, but they're also like courageous. Where it's like no, they can fight back sometimes. They do sometimes, and I also see a point where it's like they can just fully lock in, right? And then you get some more character traits. So the main thing I wanted, because I wanted to have a supernatural aspect of the show, because they already kind of have it in the TV show, but then I just think it'd be cool and more unique iteration where it's like not just through one point of the show, but like throughout the entire show. Like Mystery Incorporated kind of had it, but it was less a point. I think it'd be really cool if it was like a show that is like it's a point that there's like the supernatural aspect with the natural aspect. Um, so to go with this, I will have it be like oh my goodness. Or what? I don't know why. Yeah, oh my god. I think I've been recording way too much because my brain is now jumbled. Okay. So, in order to do this, I wanted to have the rest of the core members more focused on like the realistic parts, while Shaggy and Scooby would be the more unrealistic part. So Scooby Doo would be like their scout, essentially. They both of them are their scout, but Scooby Doo especially is scout because he has the nose and whatnot. But both of them kind of have a ghost sense because like they've been trained brains and whatnot. So now they can both see ghosts, they can both talk to ghosts, they can both talk. But more importantly, because of the fact that they can like have a telepathic link, they essentially serve as like a good survey point. While Shaggy is the better one because like he is like Scooby Doo is this better one when it comes to broad communication. Shaggy is also a really good one when it comes to isolated communication between just him and Shaggy, where it's like oh, why are they left alone most of the time? It's because those two literally can talk to each other telepathically and are always on the same note because of that. It's like, oh, we're both gonna run here, right? Yep, time to skedaddle, right? Like they're on a perfectly linked basic, and they also have like a willing, well balanced thing where they can Scooby Doo can tell when they're danger nearby, and they're both fit and whatnot, so they can run away. And then they also can tell when they're like a scared nearby. And I think that well, Scoob might be like I think Shaggy would be the one where they actually talk to the ghost, but I think Scoob would be the one that actually like can attract the ghost together, as he was related to like a old spirit or alien or whatever. I don't care. It could you could include aliens. I'm gonna say spirit from now on. He's like related to like a older spirit or older guy, like Anubis or whatever. So because of that, um, spirits are more like open to reply to him, or like at least come out to him and then talk to Shaggy about it. And then they use his power to help us solve the mystery. Where because of the fact they're in a different realm, the realm is like they have to cross a bell that restricts some of the information. So they can't just ask it goes down by like who killed you. Because of the fact that there's like a resistance behind that because of the blur. Like there's a blur after you die. Whereas trying to think of why. So like think about it like this, right? I can imagine them being able to talk to ghosts, maybe two or power. It does help kind of narrow it down. But think about it like um I'm trying to think. A stroke. Like the light because it died, entire light flashed before their eyes, right? So think about like you had a stroke and you lost consciousness. It takes a while for you to regain consciousness and full mobility of your body. So when they call upon a spirit, so like someone that recently is diseased, they can somewhat recall what happened recently, but it's not very like bright. It's a fog. But like let's say summon a spirit like someone 400 years ago, they can remember it. They will remember. They're like, well, as long as the spirit's up there forget, but they can just remember it. Like, oh yeah, I was shot by arrow 14 nautical miles east from a cannon. Like they can remember because there's not as much of like a like they recover from it essentially. I think that's the way that you could balance it out. But yeah, I think that they should be the supernatural aspect of the show. Um, yeah, I think they should be smart overall, but I think they should be runners. And I think that because of the fact that he's interested in like all the other cultures and whatnot, and like Jarvis, I think he would like actually know some fighting. So like he can fight, but it's just instinctive to run. I can also imagine that because I introduced the fact that Velma mom had fighting skills, she's forced Shaggy to have fighting skills. And like also because she has Scooby Doo for such a long time, Scooby probably is like trained to be essentially like a hunting dog. So yeah, those are like really cool concepts for that. This part is like way less secure, where it's like, oh, is this a good point? Like, good idea? Because this one is like more like supernatural versus like the other one where it's like, this is why we do for this character, this character, this character. This one is like a lot weirder, I do say. Now his girlfriend. I mentioned that I'm not gonna include it here. He does have a girlfriend in the show later in the show though, but I think it'd be cool if it's like she's in the show from the start. And she like is very aware that they're dating and whatnot. I think that like it'd be cool if like first of all, if you want, okay, it depends. If you want it to be like I don't, it's mm, so like I'm trying to think. So I think either his girlfriend or his friend. If you want the easy way to like, and you want if you want Velma to end up with Shaggy, and you want to do it the easy way, then they're friends. If you want it to be like, oh no, you put in the work to get to this point, um, then it is his girlfriend. But you also gotta keep in mind that you can't just have like yeah, you could have a breakup because of the fact that he's not necessarily the same person. But that is like a real dickhead thing to do. And also what I'm about to say, it just wouldn't make sense for a character. But yeah, I'm gonna say girlfriend right now. But his girlfriend could be someone who was introduced in the beginning of the show. And it's like she hangs around. Like you could tell that they care for each other. But it was like that night, it was like supposed to be the five of them. So it was like just left there. And like she's letting the cops handle it and whatnot, but like she's still trying and she's missing like it's her significant other. So of course she's gonna be like kind of losing her shit about it, right? It's like, well, my boyfriend just went missing. And then she could see like Velma around and she's like seeming to have fun and be lighter. And you could have a sense of her becoming a secondary antagonist, where it's not like it could be like Steve. she could be Gurren could be reading like Steve in Supernatural Miss Stranger Thing Part One, where she's not bully really. He's not the best person, but like he's reasonable and like that should make sense, right? Not to say they're all like they're excusable, but like they make sense. Like take for instance when he broke the guy camera, I don't know, I haven't had that part yet, but when he broke the guy camera, it's like, oh, well, I mean, he did have a picture from his girlfriend changing clothes, so it does. It's not like it was like unreasonable for him to do that. But I can see it being one of those situations where it's like it's not like she's not necessarily a bad person, but because of the fact that you don't like it's not her like you know Velma perspective and what she's doing and what she's going through. It's not like she doesn't just give up on him, but she doesn't really know that. So the girlfriend could be like getting on them, and at one point they were like argument about it, like you are it's like everything around you come crumbling down. That's why Velma disappeared from your life because you couldn't see people around you. Now you have Shaggy gone and your mother gone to begin with. And before that, you hung out with Shaggy and then he lost his dog. Everyone around you seemed to be disappearing. And they could have a big argument where it's like, we're trying to find him, right? And then after that point, she could help try to find him. Uh, Matter of fact, if this is the case, then it would actually solve for like when they go down there, you could have her be there with them, and she could carry Scooby. Velma could carry Shaggy, and then Daphne can carry Fred. Because actually, you can just at that point you just have like just kick, you gotta break his chin. Um, but yeah, like you could have that now, but and then you introduce her, and then she like does that. Or like from that point onwards in the story, she's like focused on helping them do it. She's not the best at it, but she's still smart. It's like okay, like I understand that if she's like, well, okay, I understand that all y'all how they smart, but you have to consider it this way from this point of view to kind of make up for that spot that Shaggy would normally take in place, while also giving her own character. I would like her to be a business major, like she knows she want to get into business. As a matter of fact, the Fred part I was missing, like maybe you have a friend that's like into business, and then you eventually give it to him or like a brother. It's actually the character that you could do it to. Whereas like she was supportive of them, helped them figure all this out. After a certain point, when they actually started talking to her about it and helped Brown Fred, me and Shaggy, but she doesn't really care about like any of the other stuff. She only care about finding Shaggy. It was like that was it. Finding Shaggy was her only goal and her only connection for them. Like, yeah, no, they're friends now. They hang out now, but like she ain't gonna help find out who that murderer is. She doesn't care as long as Shaggy's safe. Like honestly, I could see her being like a part of the squad until the end, where like they get Velma mom into jail or whatever, or like you kill her off. I don't care. Kill you could put her in jail, right? And reveal that like, oh, the killer and the person who kidnapped Shaggy is now in jail, and I can see her being like, okay, good. I don't care anymore. Like I don't care about like what mystery you're solving anymore. I still care about Shaggy, but I don't care about like solving any mysteries anymore. I'm gonna stay with him, but I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm not gonna do the mystery thing anymore. Like or this mystery solving stuff anymore, right? And this leads to her character becoming the one that's like take the role of like she still supports him, but it's like she supports him in a different way. So while they all go investigate, she's the one who supports them financially, where she's like, yeah, no, I'm running this business. I'm running this business that allows them to do their business. But it's a good thing for me. It's a good thing for them. And then also, if you do want it to end up where like, oh, he still ends up with Velma, that would be a good storyline. Where it's like a good point of how to end up in a relationship in a healthy way. It's not an argument. Like Freddie and her just sit down, have a conversation. It could be. It could even be more interesting if you have it be in the office setting where it's like they're like leaving a meeting and they're like everyone else gone. And like, hey, you want to come up Friday? And you're like, I'll be back, right? And they just sit down, have a nice conversation. And honestly, I think an episode like that should just see surely dedicated to that. Like honestly, I feel like this show should be more like mini movies versus anything else. Like I think there could be an episode surely dedicated to like showing their relationship. Whereas like when they first met, all the way to the point they're breaking up. Whereas like there were bad moments, there were good moments, because that's how a relationship is. But it was just like they just fell out of love with each other, and like she can tell and he could tell, and they just needed to get out there. It's like it's sad for both of them. They don't like it. They much prefer if they like could stay together because they still like it. Like they still love each other. They just don't romantically feel the same, right? It went from a romantic feeling to a platonic feeling. And that sucks. So it still can play off sad, but it could be like it could also be an episode dedicated to like showing that like you can feel sad for it, but that doesn't go away with like every help that they done. So like it could show them beginning a relationship where it could be like she was in a bad mental spot and Shaggy helped pull her up, and then as you go on to like closer to that story, you get to like the point where we saw last season where it's like, oh yeah, you saw her helping out Shaggy and help him become being complicated with normal society, and you also saw her kind of like helping like him become brave and whatnot. But it could be like a key point where it's like, no, there are other points outside of like the perspective of the story where like, yeah, you didn't see this. You didn't see her sit there in his room like and lay with him because of the fact that like he couldn't sleep by himself anymore because it was dramatic. Like you didn't see her having to help him like separate, like help both him and Shaggy separate, me him and Scooby separate from each other because they kind of like like stuck like they're stuck together because not only they're friends like that, but they're also like stuck together because like that was all they had, right? So like there could be moments where they're missing stuff like that where it's like it's not necessarily showcase, but it's like they now show it's now showcasing like just how pointless and great this relationship was. But then it could also showcase moments where it's like, but this is the other. Like I like this. Like if you wanted him to end up with Velma, be like, but then you show moments of Velma caring and whatnot and helping even earlier on, and like make like don't do that actually. Like just show moments of like like kind of time now where it's like in recent time it's like small moments where like he started realizing he likes her, and that could be played off well, or it could be in a different way. Like you can have his girlfriend have like no, I like start realizing she likes someone else, right? Uh, or you can have him neither realize it, and then later down the line, you realize you like Velma, right? It's like a cool premise that they have her be like the head, and it also works well because the fact that if you have her be like the business person, it's also a showcase of like both of them being responsible adults and accepting and being like, this is how it should be in office. Where like even if you date someone in like your office field, it shouldn't you shouldn't have to worry about breaking up. And that is literally her like his boss essentially. So the fact that they could sit down, reasonable conversation, and not have it be like, you're fired. I'm not dating you anymore. It's like a really good could be a really good and powerful scene. Especially because it could be like it's also showcasing a power dynamic where it's like normally a male will have a power dynamic within female just because of that they're stronger and like if you tell a cop if a guy like huh my wife beat me they're gonna decide like no that's not the best example the better example is if a woman said this guy hit her they might believe her but they probably the guy was like I'm not, I was nowhere near there they would probably believe instead. So it's like this power dynamic, but then she also has like the boss one where it's like you might think, oh, this power dynamic even out now because of the fact that like she's above him and she can fire him, and then the fact that he's a male is lower now. But it's like it's not addressed that at all. It's like no, this might look like yeah, no, it looks like this. It looks like this, but it's not that. It's simply just two adults who care for each other expressing it. And it can be a little messy too. But I think it should be a nicer, neater one because it wouldn't make sense for it to be too messy or like messy or that messy because the fact like she went through a lot with him. It's not like she didn't go through nothing with him. And also she was friends, like she was dating him. And like that means she would probably be friends and close with his dad and like both of them would be close with someone who's like psychologist. As a matter of fact, you could go further and have like points where they like you can even include his dad. Like it's just a flagrant good story. Um, but I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna go over the summary, right? About at least the Shaggy part. Um, but yeah, like I this this is what I want. Like this is like how I'm ranting about like potential story idea. This is what the entire point of this front it's like this new series I'm doing is where it's like I don't hate DC. Well, okay, I do hate Velma, but it's like I don't hate the idea of Velma. I don't hate like these stories. It's just there are these possibilities that the creator may have seen, but maybe I'm not. Because like take for instance, there are like yeah, I mean like there are points in like mangas I read where I'm like I wouldn't do that, but like I'm not you. Like I don't know where this story is going from here, and I also am not aware of like how much. Like I know that you're in extreme stress, so I'm not gonna judge you. I mean, I personally went right that way, but like I'm not the expert on this, so I'm not going to put my like be like this is how it should have been. I would be like this is what I think it is, and I like the feel that I got from this video where it's like, and I hope you got it too, where it's like I'm not like look at this. Well, okay, I am because of Velma Love. It's like it's awesome. It's not just completely like look at this shit, this shit, this shit. This should change, and then you change to this, where it's more like this is a possibility here. This, that, there. It could be this. It could be that. It could be this, and like you start building a story. Like oh, this could be going to this, and this. It's like building a storyboard, and it's how I hope it is. But with that, time for the summary. With today's summary is Shaggy. Shaggy and Scooby will be lumped in together. So Shaggy, Scooby, they psychics with in particular each other, but they can also share with everyone in the group, but in particular each other. They can switch consciousness. They can talk to spirits. Scooby can summon spirits. Shaggy is better for talking to them. They are tortured and experimented on by Velma. Um, the main reason why Shaggy knows, like Shaggy's the main reason why the group's together. He knows everyone in the group, and they also have connections with him to some degree. Velma, especially because of his therapist dad. And then he have a girlfriend or best friend, who will start off like the first half or the first score of the series, semi attack like the secondary antagonist, until she becomes a part of the squad to help them solve the major mystery of the antagonist until they go away, and then she becomes like the business leader, and that's pretty much it. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Once again, like I hope that this came more off like a storyboarding type of thing versus like y'all need to do this. But my voice is incredibly raspy now, so I'm gonna take a break after this.